Commander Veltar watched his world burn through the viewing screen of his flagship. The crystal cities of Theros sparkled like broken glass as the enemy ships tore them apart with their weapons. Each blast of green fire left another crater where thousands of his people had lived just hours before. "Sir, the evacuation ships from the northern continent are under attack," reported his communications officer. The young Villani's blue skin had turned pale with fear. 3 more transports. Destroyed. We've lost contact with Rescue Fleet 7. Veltar closed his 6 eyes and tried to think. The Korath Empire had come without warning. One day, Theros was peaceful. The next, hundreds of their bioships filled the sky like a swarm of angry insects. The Villani had always been a peaceful people. They built beautiful cities and made art. They studied the stars and grew wonderful gardens. They were not warriors. The Korath were different. They lived for war. Their ships were not made of metal and circuits like normal vessels. Instead, they grew their ships from living creatures. Each bioship was a monster with thick skin that could heal itself. They had weapons that fired living acid and claws that could tear through the strongest materials. "How many of our people are still on the surface?" Veltar asked. "Nearly 2 million, sir. The transport ships can't land safely with those bioships hunting them." Veltar felt his heart break. 2 million souls would die because he couldn't protect them. His defense fleet had only 50 ships. The Korath had brought 10 times that number. Every battle they fought was a loss. Their energy weapons barely scratched the bioships' thick hides. "Commander, incoming transmission from the Korath flagship," his officer said. The main screen flickered and showed the face of a Korath war leader. The creature looked like a nightmare come to life. Its skin was covered in thick scales and its mouth was full of sharp teeth. 4 red eyes glowed with cruel pleasure. "Villani weaklings," the Korath leader said in their harsh language. "Your resistance is pointless. Surrender now and we will make your deaths quick. Continue to fight, and we will feed your children to our bioships." Veltar stood tall despite his fear. "We will never surrender to slavers and murderers." The Korath leader laughed, a sound like metal scraping against stone. "Then you will all die slowly. Your crystal cities will become feeding grounds for our ships. Your people will scream as they are consumed." The transmission ended. Veltar looked around his bridge at his officers. They all knew they were going to die. The question was whether they could save any of their people before the end came. "Sir," said his science officer, an older female named Kesara, "I have an idea. It might be our only chance." "Tell me," Veltar said. 3 months ago, our archaeologists found something in the ruins on the far side of Theros. They called it the Nexus Beacon. The writing around it was in an ancient language, but we managed to translate some of it. Veltar had heard about the discovery. The ruins were from a race that had died out millions of years ago. Most of what they found was broken art and old tools. Nothing useful. "What did the writing say?" he asked. Kesara pulled up a hologram of strange symbols. "It talks about calling warriors from the void. The ancient race used this device to summon help when they faced enemies they couldn't defeat alone." "Magic?" Veltar said. "Kesara, we don't have time for old stories." "It's not magic, sir. The device uses dimensional energy. We've seen the readings. It can actually tear holes in space-time. The ancients must have had contact with warrior races from other parts of the galaxy. When they needed help, they could call these fighters to them." Another explosion rocked the ship. Through the screen, Veltar saw one of his cruisers break apart under fire from a massive bioship. 100 good people died in that flash of light. "Even if this device works," Veltar said, "we don't know who will answer the call. These warriors might be worse than the Korath." "Sir, look around us," Kesara said. "We're already dead. Our people are already dead. If there's even a small chance this beacon can bring help, we have to try." Veltar watched another of his ships die. The Korath were playing with them now, like cats with mice. They could have finished the battle hours ago, but they were enjoying the hunt too much. "Where is this beacon now?" he asked. "In our cargo bay, sir. We brought it up from the surface yesterday for study. How long to activate it?" The power requirements are massive, sir. We'd have to drain our main engines and weapons. Once we start the process, we won't be able to fight back. Veltar thought about his options. Keep fighting and die slowly, watching his people suffer. Or gamble everything on an ancient device that might not even work. Do it, he said. The next hour was the longest of Veltar's life. His engineers worked to connect the beacon to their power systems. The device was a smooth black crystal about the size of a person. Strange symbols glowed along its surface as it drew more and more energy from their ship. Sir, the Korath are moving closer, his tactical officer reported. They seem curious about what we're doing. Let them wonder, Veltar said. Kesara, how much longer? Almost ready, sir. The beacon is drawing incredible power. I've never seen energy readings like this. The ship shook as more Korath weapons hit their shields. The lights flickered as their power system struggled to feed both their defenses and the beacon. Sir, shields at 20%, someone called out. Beacon is ready, Kesara shouted. Activating now. The ancient device began to hum with power. The black crystal grew brighter and brighter until it hurt to look at. Reality seemed to bend around it, making strange waves in the air. What is that thing? The Korath leader's voice came over their communications. What are you fools doing? Veltar smiled for the first time in hours. We're calling for help. The beacon reached full power. Space around the Velani flagship began to crack like broken glass. Dimensional energy poured out in streams of pure light. The Korath ship stopped their attack, confused by what they were seeing. Then everything went white. When Veltar could see again, the beacon had gone dark. Their ship was drifting, powerless. But there, floating in the space between the two fleets, was something new. A small ship, nothing like the elegant curves of Velani design or the twisted organic shapes of Korath bioships. This vessel looked like it was built for war, all sharp angles and heavy armor. Unknown ship? This is Commander Veltar of the Velani Defense Fleet. Can you understand me? For a moment there was no response. Then a voice came over the radio, speaking in a language Veltar had never heard. His computer worked quickly to translate. This is Lieutenant Hyunwoo of the Earth Colonial Defense Force. Where the hell are we, and why are those things shooting at you? Veltar felt hope for the first time since the attack began. The beacon had worked. They had summoned warriors from somewhere else in the galaxy. Now he just had to pray these new arrivals were friendly. The small Earth ship began to move, and Veltar gasped at its speed. The vessel twisted and turned through space like a living thing, dodging the Korath weapons with impossible skill. Whoever these humans were, they knew how to fight. The war for Theros was about to change. Lieutenant Hyunwoo gripped the controls of his reconnaissance ship as reality stopped spinning around him. One moment he had been flying a routine patrol near Jupiter's moons, and the next moment he was somewhere else entirely. The stars were all wrong. The radio was full of alien voices, and something was shooting at him. Nari, what just happened to us? He called to his engineer. I have no idea, Nari replied from her station behind him. Her fingers danced over her instruments as she tried to make sense of their situation. Our navigation system says we're not in the solar system anymore. Actually, it says we're not even in the same galaxy. That's impossible. Tell that to the star charts. More green energy blasts flew past their ship. Hyunwoo threw their vessel into a tight spiral, using maneuvers he had learned fighting pirates in the asteroid belt. The attackers seemed surprised by how quickly his ship could move. Lieutenant, I'm getting a signal from one of the ships. It's not the ones shooting at us. The computer is trying to translate. A new voice came over their radio, speaking broken English with a strange accent. Earthship, this is Commander Veltar. We called you here. Please, we need help. The Korath are trying to kill all my people. Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display Nari had put together. Two fleets were fighting. The smaller group had ships that looked clean and bright. The larger group had vessels that looked like living monsters. It wasn't hard to figure out who the good guys were. Commander Veltar, this is Lieutenant Hyunwoo. I don't know how we got here, but we can see you're in trouble. What are those things attacking you? Bioships of the Korath Empire. They are trying to destroy my world and capture my people as slaves. We have been fighting for hours. But we cannot hurt their ships. Our weapons are too weak. Nari pulled up detailed scans of the enemy vessels. Hyunwoo, these things are incredible. They're actually alive. The ships are grown from some kind of creature, not built. Their hulls can heal damage, and they have biological weapons systems. Can we hurt them? I think so. They're designed to fight energy weapons, but look at this. She showed him the scan results. Their bioarmor is thick, but it's still organic matter. Our kinetic weapons should go right through it. One of the monster ships broke away from the main battle and moved toward them. It was easily 10 times the size of their small reconnaissance vessel. Green weapons began firing in their direction. They want to play, Hyunwoo said. Let's show them how humans play. He activated their weapon systems. The reconnaissance ship wasn't heavily armed, but it carried enough firepower to deal with pirates and raiders. Against ships designed for a different kind of warfare, it might be enough. The Korath bioship fired again, sending streams of living acid toward them. Hyunwoo spun their ship away from the attack and came around in a wide arc. The alien vessel was big and powerful, but it moved like a whale in water. His ship moved like a shark. Missile lock, he announced. Fire, Nari said. 2 nuclear-tipped missiles shot out from their ship. The Korath vessel tried to dodge, but it was too slow and too big. The first missile struck near what looked like the creature's head. The second hit center mass. The explosions lit up space like 2 new suns. When the light faded, the bioship was gone. Nothing was left but glowing pieces of organic matter floating in the vacuum. Both fleets went completely silent. Did we just kill a ship the size of a city with 2 missiles? Nari asked. I think we did. The radio exploded with voices. The translator struggled to keep up with all the alien languages being spoken at once. Most of it was confusion and fear, but Commander Veltar's voice came through clearly. Earthship, how did you do that? Our strongest weapons barely scratched their hulls, but you destroyed a heavy cruiser in seconds. Nuclear weapons, Hyunwoo said simply. We've had them for about 300 years. There was a long pause. Nuclear weapons? You use atomic fire as a normal weapon? When we have to, yes. Another pause, longer this time. What kind of world do you come from? Nari looked at Hyunwoo and grinned. A dangerous one. The Korath fleet was moving now, pulling back from the immediate battle area. The death of one of their bioships so quickly had clearly shocked them. But more ships were coming. Hyunwoo's sensors showed at least 50 more contacts heading toward them. Commander Veltar, we need to talk, he said. Can you bring us aboard your ship? We need to understand what's happening here. Yes, of course. But be warned, our docking systems may not work with your ship. We'll figure something out. 20 minutes later, Hyunwoo and Nari were floating through the airlock of the Villani flagship. The first thing they noticed was that the artificial gravity was lighter than Earth normal. The second thing was that the aliens were beautiful. Commander, Veltar was tall and thin, with blue-white skin that seemed to glow softly. His features were delicate and artistic, like he had been carved from crystal by a master sculptor. His uniform was made of some kind of flowing material that looked more like art than military clothing. Welcome aboard the Harmony of Stars, Veltar said. I am Commander Veltar of the Villani Defense Fleet. Lieutenant Hyunwoo, Earth Colonial Defense Force, Hyunwoo replied. This is Engineer Nari. We're honored to meet you, but we need to understand what's happening. How did we get here? Veltar led them to his command center. The bridge was nothing like a human ship. Everything curved and flowed like it had grown naturally. Soft lights provided illumination, and the control panels looked more like works of art than instruments of war. We used an ancient device called the Nexus Beacon, Veltar explained. It was supposed to call warriors to help us fight enemies we cannot defeat alone. And it pulled us here from our own galaxy? It appears so. We had no idea it would reach so far. Nari was studying readings from her portable scanner. Hyunwoo, this is incredible. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours in some ways, but they've never developed effective weapons. Look at this. Their main guns use focused energy beams that could power a city, but they're designed to disable, not destroy. We are not a violent people, said Kesara, the science officer who had suggested using the beacon. We build and create. We explore and learn. War is foreign to us. But the Korath live for war, Veltar added. They conquered their own world thousands of years ago, then spread across space looking for new peoples to enslave. Their bioships are created from creatures they torture into serving them. They find joy in causing pain. Hyunwoo felt anger building in his chest. Humanity had met bullies before. They didn't like them. How many people are on your world, he asked. Nearly 50 million on Theros, another 100 million in our colonies throughout this system. The Korath want them all as slaves for their empire. And your military? We have never needed much of a military. This fleet represents most of our armed vessels, 50 ships total. Nari whistled softly. 50 ships against hundreds of bioships. No wonder you needed help. Alarms began sounding throughout the Vellani ship. Veltar's officers called out reports in their musical language. More Korath ships incoming, Veltar said. A much larger force this time. They're bringing their war fleet. Hyunwoo looked at the tactical display. Over 200 bioships were approaching at high speed. His single reconnaissance vessel, even with its nuclear missiles, couldn't handle odds like that. Commander, we need to send a message home, he said. My people need to know what happened to us, and they need to know about your situation. Can you call for help the same way we called you? Not exactly. But if I'm reading these energy signatures correctly, the dimensional rift is still partially open. We might be able to send a signal through. Nari was already working on the problem. I can boost our communication system using their power grid. It'll take time, but I think we can get a message through. Do it, Hyunwoo said, and make sure. They know we're facing a hostile force that practices slavery and torture. My people don't like bullies any more than I do. As Nari worked to send their message home, Hyunwoo studied the approaching enemy fleet. 200 bioships against 51 defenders. By any normal calculation, it was hopeless, but humans had never been very good at normal calculations. Commander Veltar had seen many different species during his years of exploration. The galaxy was full of interesting peoples, gas creatures from the cloud worlds, crystal beings who lived in asteroid fields, even energy forms that existed as pure thought. But he had never seen anything like the humans. Hyunwoo moved through the corridors of the harmony of stars like a predator. Every step was controlled and purposeful. His eyes constantly scanned for threats that didn't exist on the peaceful Vellani ship. When he turned his head, it was quick and sharp, like a hunting animal checking for danger. Nari was different but equally unsettling. She examined their technology with an intensity that made Veltar's engineers nervous. Her questions were direct and practical, focused on how things could be used as weapons rather than how beautiful or elegant they were. Your ship is impressive, Hyunwoo said as they toured the command deck. But why don't you have any defensive positions? If someone boarded your vessel, how would you stop them? Boarded? Veltar asked, confused. Why would anyone board our ship? To capture it, to take prisoners, to gather intelligence. The concept seemed foreign to the Vellani commander. But we would simply surrender if our ship was disabled. Why would they need to board us? Hyunwoo and Nari exchanged a look. Commander, Nari said gently, what happens to your people when the Korath capture them? They become slaves. They are forced to work in the bioship breeding grounds or in the pain farms where new weapons are grown. And you would just let that happen? What choice do we have? Death is better than fighting. No, Hyunwoo said, his voice hard. Fighting is better than slavery. Death is better than slavery. But winning is better than both. Dr. Kesara approached them with a medical scanner in her hands. Forgive me, but I must ask, may I examine you? Your physiology is unlike anything in our databases. The humans agreed, and what Kesara discovered made her question everything she knew about biology. The scanner showed readings that should have been impossible. Your bone density is 3 times normal, she said, staring at the display. Your muscle fibers are designed for explosive movement. Your cardiovascular system could support activity levels that would kill most species, and your neural pathways. She paused, checking the readings again. Your reaction time is measured in milliseconds. Most sentient beings require full seconds to process and respond to threats. Is that unusual? Nari asked. Unusual? It's impossible. No intelligent species could evolve these characteristics. The energy requirements alone would be enormous. What kind of world do you come from? Hyunwoo thought about how to explain Earth. Our planet is dangerous. We have predators that can kill a human in seconds, weather that can destroy cities, diseases that have wiped out millions of our people, earthquakes, volcanoes, floods, ice ages. For most of our history, everything on our world was trying to kill us, but you survived. We more than survived, we thrived. We fought back against everything that threatened us. We turned other predators into food. We learned to predict and control the weather. We conquered diseases. We built cities that could withstand disasters. How many humans are there? Veltar asked. On Earth? About 8 billion. In the colonies, maybe another 2 billion. The bridge went silent. 10 billion individuals of a species designed for combat. The number was staggering. Show me your world, Kesara said softly. Nari pulled up images from their ship's database. Earth appeared on the main screen in all its blue-green glory. To the humans, it looked like home. To the Villani, it looked like a nightmare. 70% water, Nari explained. Most of it filled with creatures that see humans as food. Massive storms that can destroy everything in their path. Land covered with dense forests full of predators, or deserts that can kill you with heat, or ice fields that can freeze you solid. And you live there willingly? We didn't have a choice. It was adapt or die. So we adapted. Hyunwoo activated another display. This is what we call a tiger. One of the predators from our world. It weighs 300 kilograms, can run 60 kilometers per hour, and has claws and teeth designed to kill large prey. The Villani stared at the image in horror. We used to hunt them with spears, Hyunwoo added casually. You hunted those things for food? Sometimes for food. Sometimes because they were hunting us. Sometimes just to prove we could. More images followed. Sharks that could bite a human in half, bears that stood 3 meters tall, snakes with venom that could kill in minutes, insects that carried deadly diseases, plants that were poisonous to touch. Your entire world is trying to kill you, Veltar whispered. Was trying to kill us, Nari corrected. We won. The medical examinations continued, and each new discovery made the Villani more amazed and terrified. Humans had redundant organs. If one kidney failed, they had another. If part of their liver was damaged, it could grow back. Their blood would clot automatically to seal wounds. You heal from injuries that would be fatal to us, Kesara said. You can function with damage to major organs. You can survive in environments that would kill every other species I know. Earth made us tough, Hyunwoo said. We had to be. But you're also intelligent. How is that possible? Evolution should have made you either smart or strong, not both. We needed both to survive. Strong humans could fight the predators. Smart humans could make weapons and traps and tools. The humans, who had both lived long enough to have children. The tactical display showed the approaching Korath fleet growing larger. Over 200 bioships now, with more arriving every hour. The aliens were massing for a final assault that would wipe out the Villani survivors. We should run, Veltar said. Load as many people as we can into the transport ships and try to reach our outer colonies. Running won't work, Hyunwoo said, studying the enemy formations. They're faster than your ships. They'll hunt you down one by one. Then what do you suggest? We fight. Fight? Against those odds? It's hopeless. No, it's not. You've been fighting the wrong kind of war. Hyunwoo called up tactical displays and began explaining human military doctrine. The Villani listened with growing amazement and horror as he described concepts they had never imagined. You focus your attacks on single targets, he said, but that gives the bioships time to heal. Instead, you need to do massive damage to multiple ships at once, overwhelming force. We don't have overwhelming force. Yes, you do. You just don't know how to use it. Nari had been studying the Villani weapon systems. Hyunwoo, look at this. Their energy weapons are incredibly powerful. A single blast from their main guns carries more energy than our nuclear missiles. But they use them to disable, not destroy. Right. But if we modified the targeting systems, she began pulling up technical diagrams. If we focused multiple beams on single points, we could punch right through the bioarmor. You want to kill them deliberately? Veltar asked. They're trying to enslave your people, Hyunwoo said. They torture living creatures to make their ships. They enjoy causing pain and suffering. Why would you not want to kill them? Because taking a life is wrong. No. Taking innocent life is wrong. These creatures have chosen to be monsters. Stopping monsters is right. The philosophical differences between humans and Villani were becoming clear. The Villani had evolved on a peaceful world with abundant resources. They had never faced existential threats. They valued all life, even the lives of their enemies. Humans came from a world where mercy could mean death, where the failure to act decisively could result in the extinction of your entire tribe. They understood that sometimes violence was the only way to protect the innocent. Commander, Kesara said quietly, perhaps we should listen to them. They survived on a world far more dangerous than anything we've faced. They understand warfare in ways we cannot. Veltar looked around, his bridge at his officers. All of them were scared but determined. They trusted their commander to find a way to save their people. What do you need? He asked Hyunwoo. Complete control of your weapon systems, permission to modify your tactics, and trust that we know what we're doing. And if you're wrong, if your methods fail, then we all die fighting instead of living as slaves, but we won't fail. Hyunwoo's confidence was absolute. It came from 10,000 years of human warfare, from countless battles where humans had faced impossible odds and won through determination, ingenuity, and the willingness to do whatever it took to protect their people. The Villani were about to learn why the ancient beacon had classified humans as apex predators. Outside, the Korath fleet continued to grow. But for the first time since the battle began, Commander Veltar felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope. Admiral Sojin stood in the command center of the battleship New Seoul, studying the dimensional readings that made no sense. Her chief science officer, Dr. Tae-min, had been working for 6 hours straight, trying to understand what had happened, to Lieutenant Hyunwoo and Engineer Nari. Tell me again what we know, Sojin said. Dr. Tae-min rubbed his tired eyes and pulled up the data displays. At 14:23 yesterday, the reconnaissance ship Red Phoenix vanished from our sensors while on routine patrol near Jupiter. No distress signal, no debris, no energy discharge. One moment it was there, the next it was gone. Equipment failure? No, ma'am. We detected a massive dimensional energy spike at the exact moment of disappearance. Something tore a hole in space-time and pulled their ship through it. Natural phenomenon? Impossible. The energy patterns are too precise, too controlled. This was artificial. Someone or something deliberately took our people. Admiral So-jin had been fighting for 30 years. She had battled pirates in the asteroid belt, defended colonies from alien raiders, and led the evacuation of the Titan mining station when the reactor went critical. In all that time, she had learned one fundamental truth about humanity. You never leave your people behind. Status of the 3rd Colonial Defense Fleet? Ready for deployment, Admiral. All ships fully supplied and crews at battle stations. How many ships total? 120 vessels, ma'am. Battleships, cruisers, destroyers, carriers, and support ships, plus the marine assault transports. So, Jin nodded. The 3rd Fleet was one of humanity's most powerful military units, designed to project force across interstellar distances. If someone had taken her people, they were about to learn why that was a mistake. Dr. Tae-min, can we follow the dimensional trail? I believe so. The energy signature is still detectable like a path through folded space. But Admiral, we have no idea what's on the other side. This could lead anywhere in the universe. It Leads to where our people are, that's all I need to know. Meanwhile, in the distant galaxy where the battle for Theros continued, Hyunwoo was learning just how different human and Vellani approaches to warfare could be. You want us to do what? Commander Veltar asked, staring at the tactical display, in disbelief. Concentrated fire, Hyunwoo repeated patiently. Instead of each ship choosing its own target, we coordinate all weapons on single bioships, hit them faster than they can heal. But that seems excessive. Surely we can disable them without complete destruction. Nari looked up from her work modifying the Vellani targeting systems. Commander, those bioships are living creatures that are being tortured into serving as weapons. Destroying them is actually mercy. The concept still seemed wrong to Veltar, but he was running out of options. The Korath fleet now numbered over 300 ships, and more were arriving every hour. His own force had been reduced to 42 vessels after several more had been destroyed in skirmishes. There's something else, Hyunwoo said. We need to talk about boarding actions. I don't understand. When we damage a bioship enough, the Korath will try to board our vessels instead of fighting ship to ship. We need to be ready for that. Veltar's officers looked confused. The idea of alien soldiers actually entering their ships and fighting hand-to-hand seemed impossible. How do we prepare for such a thing? Asked his security chief. Hyunwoo and Nari exchanged glances. We need weapons, personal weapons, and we need to teach your people how to fight in close quarters. The next few hours were among the strangest in Vellani history. Hyunwoo moved through their ships teaching peaceful explorers how to kill with improvised weapons. He showed them how to turn maintenance tools into weapons, how to set up defensive positions in corridors, how to use their ship's systems against boarders. The Vellani were horrified by the lessons, but they learned quickly. Their enhanced intelligence allowed them to understand tactics and strategies in ways that impressed even Hyunwoo. You're fast learners, he told a group of young officers. But remember, hesitation kills. When something is trying to hurt you, or your friends, you don't think. You act. Meanwhile, Nari was working with Vellani engineers to modify their weapon systems. The aliens' technology was incredibly advanced, but it had never been designed for efficient killing. Your plasma generators are amazing, she told them, but you're spreading the energy over too wide an area. If we focus the beam to a 10-centimeter point, we can punch through any armor. Won't that cause massive damage to the target? That's the idea. The philosophical differences continued to cause problems. The Vellani understood intellectually that they needed to fight more aggressively, but emotionally they struggled with the concept of deliberately killing. Hyunwoo was working. In the engineering section, when the first Korath boarding attempt occurred, alarms sounded throughout the ship as a damaged bioship attached itself to their hull like a parasite. All hands, prepare for boarders, Veltar's voice announced over the speakers. Hyunwoo grabbed the improvised weapons he had prepared and moved toward the breach point. He found a group of Vellani officers standing in the corridor looking terrified and uncertain. Remember your training, he told them. Stay calm. Work together. Watch each other's backs. The hull began to glow as the bioship burned through their armor. Hyunwoo positioned his makeshift squad in defensive positions around the corridor. When the breach opened, they would be ready. The wall exploded inward in a spray of molten metal. Through the hole came the Korath boarders. The aliens were nightmares made real. Each one stood over 2 meters tall with thick armor-like skin and claws that could tear through steel. Their mouths were full of sharp teeth, and their eyes glowed with cruel intelligence. The first Korath through the breach saw the waiting Vellani and roared a challenge. It expected them to run or surrender like every other species it had encountered. Instead, Hyunwoo stepped forward and shot it in the face with an improvised plasma rifle. The creature's head vaporized. Its body crashed to the deck, green blood spreading across the floor. Next, Hyunwoo said calmly. The battle in the corridor was brief but vicious. More Korath poured through the breach, but they were not prepared for organized resistance. The Vellani had been taught well, and they fought with the desperate determination of people defending their homes. When the last invader fell, the corridor was silent, except for the sound of heavy breathing. Several Villani had been wounded, but none had died. They stood among the alien bodies, realizing they had just won their first real victory. "Well done," Hyunwoo told them. "You fought like veterans." I killed one," whispered a young engineer. "I actually killed another living being." "You saved your friends," Hyunwoo corrected. "You protected your ship. You did what was necessary." The psychological impact of the successful defense spread throughout the Villani fleet. For the first time in their history, they had faced their enemies in personal combat and won. The confidence gained from that victory began to change how they approached the larger battle. Back on Earth, Admiral Sojin's fleet was finally ready to deploy. Dr. Taemin had managed to create a stable dimensional gateway using the energy signature left by the original disappearance. "All ships report ready for departure," her communications officer announced. "Fleet composition?" Sojin asked. 12 battleships, 24 heavy cruisers, 36 destroyers, 18 carriers, and 30 support vessels, plus the marine assault ships Incheon, Busan, and Daegu. Total personnel? 45,000 Navy crew and 15,000 Marines. Sojin nodded with satisfaction. The Third Fleet was a force capable of conquering entire star systems. If someone had captured her people, they were about to face the full might of human military power. "Dr. Taemin, open the gateway." "Yes, ma'am. Gateway opening now." Space in front of the fleet began to twist and fold. A tunnel of pure energy formed, leading to somewhere beyond the edge of known reality. Through the passage, scanner readings showed another galaxy entirely. "All ships, this is Admiral Sojin. We go to bring our people home. Whatever we find on the other side, we will face it together. The Third Fleet will show the universe that humanity protects its own." Fleet acknowledges. "Admiral, take us through." One by one, the ships of the Third Colonial Defense Fleet entered the dimensional gateway. They had no idea what they would find on the other side, but they knew their duty. 2 humans were missing. That was too many. In the distant battle, around Theros, Hyunwoo felt a strange sensation, like a whisper in the back of his mind. Somewhere, impossibly far away, he could sense massive engines starting up and weapons charging. Help was coming. The Korath had no idea what they had started when they chose to fight the humans. They were about to learn why Earth's children never fought alone. The final battle began at dawn on Theros. Commander Veltar watched through his flagship's screens as over 400 Korath bioships moved into attack formation. Against them, his 40 remaining vessels looked pitifully small. "Sir, they're moving to surround us," his tactical officer reported. "We won't be able to run even if we wanted to." "Good," Hyunwoo said from his position at the weapons control station. Running was never the plan anyway. The human had spent the last 6 hours helping to modify the Villani ships for maximum combat effectiveness. Their elegant energy weapons had been reconfigured into focused death rays. Their defensive shields had been adjusted to concentrate protection on vital areas, rather than providing even coverage. Most importantly, their crews had been trained in human combat tactics. "All ships, this is Commander Veltar," the Villani leader announced to his fleet. "Today we fight not just for our own lives, but for the freedom of all our people. Let the Korath learn that there are some things worth dying for, and some things worth killing for." Hyunwoo added quietly. The Korath fleet began its final approach. The bioships moved in perfect formation, like a school of predatory fish closing in on their prey. Each vessel was a living nightmare of twisted flesh and bone, grown in pain and maintained through torture. At the center of their formation was the largest bioship any of them had ever seen. It was easily a kilometer long, with massive weapons that pulsed with green fire. This had to be the Korath command vessel. "Incoming transmission from the enemy flagship," the communications officer announced. The main screen filled with the image of a Korath war leader even more terrifying than the first one they had encountered. This creature was larger, older, and covered in battle scars. Its 4 red eyes burned with ancient hatred. "Villani fools," it said in its grinding voice. "You have caused us much trouble with your new allies, but it ends now. Surrender and we will kill you quickly." Continue to resist, and we will make you watch as we feed your families to our ships." Commander Veltar stood straight despite his fear. "We reject your offer, monster. We will fight to the last ship and the last breath." The Korath leader laughed. "Then you will all die in agony. Attack!" The bioships surged forward, their weapons blazing. Green fire filled the space between the fleets as the Korath opened their assault. But the Volani were ready. "All ships, concentrated fire on target Alpha," Veltar commanded. "Full power to weapons." 20 Volani ships focused their modified energy beams on a single bioship. The combined firepower, concentrated into focused points as Nari had suggested, punched through the creature's thick armor like needles through flesh. The bioship convulsed and died, its body breaking apart. In space, "Target Beta, fire," Veltar ordered. Another bioship died under the coordinated assault. Then another. The Korath had expected to face the same weak resistance they had encountered before. Instead, they found themselves fighting an enemy that had learned to kill efficiently. But the numbers were still overwhelming. For every bioship the Volani destroyed, 5 more took its place. Slowly, inevitably, the defensive perimeter began to shrink. "Sir, we've lost the Peaceful Dawn and the Crystal Song," his officer reported. "The Song of Stars is badly damaged." Hyunwoo studied the tactical display and shook his head. "We're doing better than I hoped, but it's not enough. We need help." As if in answer to his words, space began to change. At first it was just a small distortion at the edge of the battle zone. Then the distortion grew, becoming a swirling tunnel of energy that hurt to look at directly. The dimensional gateway was opening. "What is that?" Veltar asked. "That," Hyunwoo said with a grin, "is the cavalry." The first ship through the gateway was unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. It was a human battleship, 2 kilometers of armored death bristling with weapons. The name New Seoul was painted on its hull in letters 3 meters tall. Behind it came more ships, cruisers and destroyers and carriers, each one built for war in a way that made even the Korath bioships look primitive. The humans hadn't just come to rescue 2 people, they had brought an entire battle fleet. "This is Admiral So Jin of the Earth Colonial Defense Fleet," a new voice announced over the communications channel. "Lieutenant Hyunwoo, Engineer Nari, are you safe?" "Safe and ready for extraction, Admiral," Hyunwoo replied. "But we have a situation here. The local population is under attack by hostiles who practice slavery and torture." "Copy that, Lieutenant. We see the situation. All ships, battle stations. Let's show these aliens how humans deal with slavers." The Korath fleet, which had been winning just moments before, suddenly found itself facing over 100 human warships. The aliens had never encountered technology like this. Human weapons didn't rely on energy beams that could be absorbed or deflected. Instead, they fired solid projectiles at incredible speeds, missiles with nuclear warheads and particle beams that could cut through any known material. The first salvo from the human fleet was devastating. 20 bioships died in the opening seconds, their organic armor no match for weapons designed to destroy planets. "All ships, protect the Volani vessels," Admiral Sojin ordered. "And someone tell me who's in charge of the friendly forces." "That would be Commander Veltar, Admiral," Hyunwoo said. "He's a good leader. His people just needed to learn how to fight." "Commander Veltar, this is Admiral Sojin. We're here to help. Can you coordinate with our tactical systems?" Veltar was staring in amazement at the human fleet. Each ship was a work of military engineering that surpassed anything in Volani science. "Admiral, we are honored by your assistance. Our systems are compatible with your lieutenant's modifications." "Excellent. Let's finish this." The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. The Korath Empire had never faced an enemy like humanity. Their bioships, evolved to fight the elegant energy weapons of civilized species, were helpless against human kinetic weapons and nuclear fire. But more than the technology, it was the human approach to warfare that dominated the battle. While other species fought with honor and restraint, humans fought to win. They used every advantage, exploited every weakness, and showed no mercy to enemies who practiced torture and slavery. The Korath war leader tried to rally his forces, But the bioships were dying too quickly. Human weapons didn't just destroy, they annihilated. Entire sections of the alien fleet vanished in nuclear fire. "Fall back," the Korath leader finally screamed. "All ships, retreat to the outer system." But Admiral So-Jin was not interested in letting them escape. "Pursuit course," she ordered. "No one who attacks our allies gets to run away." "Admiral," Commander Veltar said, "surely we have won. Must we continue the killing?" "Commander, these creatures enslave entire populations. They torture living beings for fun. If we let them go, they'll just attack someone else tomorrow." Hyunwoo nodded agreement. "Sometimes the only way to stop a monster is to kill it." The human fleet pursued the fleeing Korath ships across the star system. It wasn't a battle anymore. It was an execution. Bioship after bioship fell to human weapons until only the command vessel remained. The massive flagship tried to hide behind one of the system's moons, but human sensors found it easily. Admiral So-Jin personally targeted the creature with her battleship's main guns. "For every innocent life you've taken," she said, and fired. The Korath command ship died in a ball of nuclear fire bright enough to be seen from the surface of Theros. In the silence that followed, Commander Veltar looked around his bridge at his surviving officers. They had won. Against impossible odds, facing an enemy that had seemed unstoppable, they had won. "How many of our people survived?" he asked quietly. 31 ships still operational, sir. We lost 19 vessels, but most of their crews were rescued." Veltar felt tears in his eyes. Less than a day ago, his entire civilization had been facing extinction. Now, thanks to the humans, his people were safe. "Admiral So-Jin," he said, "how can we ever repay you for this?" "No payment necessary, Commander. We protect our friends. But we're not your friends. We're strangers from another galaxy. You called for help when you were in trouble. That makes you friends." Over the following weeks, formal diplomatic relations were established between humanity and the Villani Confederation. The aliens offered to share their advanced technology, while the humans provided military protection and training. Lieutenant Hyunwoo and Engineer Nari became the first human ambassadors to another species. Their small reconnaissance ship was placed in a place of honor in the Villani capital, a monument to the day when 2 lost humans changed the fate of an entire civilization. Admiral So-Jin established the first human colony in extragalactic space, with the Third Fleet serving as its protectors. The dimensional gateway became a permanent link between the galaxies, allowing trade and cultural exchange to flourish. But perhaps most importantly, word of the battle spread throughout both galaxies. Other species learned that there was a new power in the universe, one that fought not for conquest or glory, but for the simple principle that slavery and torture were wrong. The Korath Empire, reduced to a handful of scattered survivors, sent a message to all known civilizations: beware the humans. They are apex predators who fight for their principles. They are the most dangerous species in the universe.